everyone and welcome back to my channel. On today's video I would like to use my Derwent Inktense in this Dutch edition of Hanna Karzlon's Seasons. I have already done a little section of one of the pages in here, and it was requested that I show how I use Derwent Inktense. Obviously I'm a beginner, so I have only used it on this page so far, and I just thought I'd come on and do a little recording on how I do it, so that if any other beginners out there sort of aren't overwhelmed by more advanced, say, artists. There's nothing wrong with them, but obviously as a beginner I'm very much trial and error, and I just wanted to be able to film that sort of trial and error with you. Hopefully there's no errors, hopefully it's just trial and perfection, but as you all know, in the art world, you don't like every page that you do. I'm quite happy with the little section that I've done so far. So if you don't already know, Derwent Inktense it goes down like a pencil, but then once you activate it with water, it dries like ink, so it acts like ink and it dries permanently, so you can layer on top of that with other sort of water mediums without affecting sort of the underlayer. I have the pack of 100, it says watercolour ink pencils here, and I have already selected the colours that I'm going to be using today, so I'll put that to one side. So this is the Dutch edition of the Hanna Karzlon Seasons book, and the page that I am working on as a buddy colour actually with Geordie from Geordie Colours here on YouTube is this page, and I have already started this tree here and activated it with water, so I know that this won't go anywhere now. Plus also I'd just like to say that the paper in this book, I did check with Geordie before I started, she'd used water mediums on it already. It's absolutely excellent. You cannot tell that I have used a water medium on there. There's no like warping of the paper. You can't tell from the texture of it that I would have used water. I did use a very small amount of water, and I will show you how I apply water to the page. So I just thought I'd come on and I would sort of do this tree on camera. So I'll just pop a piece of paper underneath here. So I started off with, I've got these 3 pencils here. This one is Jungle Green. Can you see that on camera? Jungle Green. Oh, there we are, Jungle Green. And I use this for where the lighting would go onto the page here. I do need to sort of go over and shade more into this tree, but I've just used it here and here where the light would reflect from maybe the stars and the lantern here. So I probably won't use it on this tree as there's no stars there. But the 2 that I will be using are Light Olive and Felt Green. Now the light olive is going in where all the shadows are. So shall I zoom in a bit for you? Yeah, so where all the shadows would be. So wherever there's sort of a layer of these branches, these layer bits here, wherever the branches lay over one another. So I just literally put it on wherever. You don't need to be exact because the water will pull the pigment, and you can always go over and relayer again, which is really good for these pencils and really good for this paper. I think this is, I don't think it is actually Gibbs-Smith, because Gibbs-Smith is normally the Hanna Karzlon books, the English and the USA ones. This is, oh, MUS. I don't know that publisher. I've not got any more books in that publisher, but I would say it's probably not got much tooth to it, but they are quite thick pages, so I'm quite happy that I can use water mediums in here, and I should imagine that the normal, I'll be using these in the normal Give Smith published books as well. So that will be the Maria Trulls, any Maria Trull books, or other Hanna Karzlon ones which are published in the UK or the US. I don't know of any other countries, so I can't comment on those. So I'm just putting it wherever there would be a layer, and sort of, yeah. I'm not going to worry about the snow yet, so I'll just go round that with the other pencil, and then I can deal with that at a later date. But it's just literally getting some colour on the page here. Love the fact that you don't have to be so precise with these, so it doesn't feel like you have to be super neat, because the water will do a lot of that. You'll see what I mean when I put the water on. It's only because I've done this page, this tree so far, and I'm glad I did that off of camera first. It's not really my first time using them, but I still am a beginner. I suppose everyone finds their own way of using mediums, and obviously I just wanted to come on to show my way as I'd been requested to. So yeah, it's quite a simple, fast way of adding colour to the page as well. This tree didn't take me that long to do, and I love the after effect of it. Like I said, I've still got to go and do some bit of shading, maybe add a bit more Inktense, but maybe I could go over the top with, I'm not sure what pencils I'm going to be using yet, maybe my Brutfina squares or my Woomers. I'll have to see. The bottom of the tree here, I think. Yeah, so just a couple more there. And then all I did was I go in with the felt green now and shade wherever. Can you see that? Just around the dark patches. Not being too precise at all, really. Like I say, you can build up the colour. Also after, you have to wait for it to dry. And that's probably why I haven't done a lot of this page so far, because I literally do an element and then wait for it to dry, because I know me, I'd want to get on and do more, and then I'd end up smudging it and ruining it. But yeah, I don't know how long it takes to dry. I kind of moved on to other pages, so I'm not really too bothered about waiting for it to dry, because I know I've got other things that... Oh, I'll add a bit of shading in here actually, along these bits, just a little bit. Yes, like I say, I'm not too bothered about waiting for it to dry, because I just jump onto another page while I'm waiting for that. But yeah, knowing me, I would probably end up, like, if I didn't do that, I'd probably end up smudging it. And it's such a beautiful book, this season's book by Hanna Karzlon, that I don't want to make sort of any mistakes. I'm going around that snowflake. That's snowflake. It's not really a snowflake. Snow there, should I say? It's not. You do realise that if I do actually mess this up on camera, I can't then re-record it, because it's like a one time, which I guess there's pressure on me, but like you can see, I'm not really doing this exactly neatly. I do think the more pigment you'd put on the paper, sort of the more pigmented the colour's going to be. But I mean, I think this is how I did it on that one, and I'm not putting down much pressure at all. So I know that they do come up brighter when you activate them with water. So you have to bear that in mind, and you can either swatch them out or you could try it on a scrap piece of paper first. Learning how much water to add as well to different types of paper. I tried it on scrap first, added way too much water to start off with. You only need a tiny amount of water to be able to activate these. So yeah, it's all a bit of a learning as you're going. And that's what I love about it. I do obviously watch a lot of YouTube videos to be able to sort of do more research kind of thing, to know which brushes to get, out of my opinion, which brushes were the best ones to get, to know whether to sort of go for the Albert Durers or the Inktense. And I chose the Inktense, not just because of the price point as well, and I like the fact that, so the Inktense you get 100 in, and the Albert Durers, the biggest set is 100, and the Albert Durers is 120, I believe. But the price difference for me, this one, obviously, as on a budget, this one, I did get some Christmas money, so I was lucky. This one worked out better for me, and I like the fact that then you can use other water mediums on top and it won't affect it, and I love the vibrancy of it. I wish that all my pages could be vibrant like this, so that's why I chose the Derwent Inktense over the Albert Durers. Yes, I do really want the Albert Durers because I believe that you can use them more so wet or dry. I just went round here with the darker shade as well, just because behind the gem it's going to be shading here. What was I saying? Yeah, so I will, well, hopefully, if I'm lucky enough, I'll hopefully we'll get the Albert Durers as well at some point. So this is the pen tool water brush that I'll be using, and I do have a kitchen towel here, so I just check there's no water in it yet. So you squeeze it to get the water down. Oh. Yep, that's wet now. So I just dab it on here, so I know that's wet now. And then if it's got too wet, you just keep wiping it off here. So always start with the light first, going into the dark, because you don't want to go from dark to light, because you'll pull the dark up into the light and it will get muddied. So I start with this sort of mid-tone here. On this one I started with the jungle green, I believe. And if it's too wet, just wipe it on the... Look at that vibrancy though. Look at that. So it's literally not much movement on the brush at all, and it just sort of moves it around like a watercolour. It's amazing. So yeah, it doesn't matter where you start really. I don't know where I started in the middle, but you can sort of pull the colour to the places if you... See, that's why I wasn't too precise on where I put this colour, because I know that I could pull it to where I wanted to cover on the page. And again, I'm just wiping it, but I'm not pressing on the water brush at all, so I'm not getting any more water on the page. I'm just using what's on this. Not getting any more water on the page. What I'm talking about, I'm not getting any more water down my brush. I'm just using what's on the tip, and if I think there's too much water, then I can always dry it off. Also, it stops it from sort of mixing too much. So if you do hit the dark by accident, you can then just brush it off and carry on. So yeah, it's very delicate, but you see how the pigment is become a lot brighter, and you can sort of move it about. That's also, then it gets rid of all your pencil lines, doesn't it? I wasn't very neat about it, but I didn't need to be. Oh, there's a bit too much water there. Just move that water out. Oh, just dab it off, because I can tell there's too much water on there. Yeah, you could always dab it off as well if you want to, if you think there's too much water on there. And then, like say if you wanted it to be like more pigmented, you could come back in when it was dry and go over with a second layer. I don't know if I'd need to, or whether I just want to go in and shade over the top. Like I said, I'm not sure what pencils I want to use yet, but I'll figure that out another day. Just love the way it just moves. Oh. Again, that might be me not constantly getting rid of the water. So there must be some kind of flow down this pencil brush, but I'm not pressing it at all. So it's obviously just doing its own thing. I'm not telling it I need more water, if that makes sense. I know that I've someone about these brushes already, and she's absolutely loves them as well, so I'm glad I did my research. I got them as a Christmas present actually from my partner. So, and now I'm just going over the dark where the shadows all are, just so we're not sort of pulling dark into light to muddy it up. So now I'm just going over the darkest bits, and as you can see, it's so much more vibrant than what I was laying down on the paper. It's always handy to have this kitchen roll just here. So yeah, as you can see, I mean, if you're a fan of watercolour, then this might be the way to go. Another sort of thing to add. I never really was into art at school. I didn't like my art teacher, that might have been why. I could never draw, and it was always, I remember it's always like still life. I never enjoyed that. Draw this fruit in a bowl. I mean, much rather. I mean, I've only just sort of found colouring to help me, so I absolutely love it, but I didn't actually realise that there was so much involved. It wasn't just a case of putting like pencil to paper, there was other mediums and anything else, and I didn't even know there was this massive community. So yeah, at the end, all I do to clean off the brush is just squeeze it a bit. I squeeze it quite a bit actually, and then it will just clean it through. But you can do that, you can put that under a tap as well. So yeah, that is just a quick demonstration on how I use Inktense. As you can see, it's become a lot more vibrant. Obviously that has to then dry, and yeah, it feels like I've used water on this now when it's wet. It's not really crinkled at all, but you can see that there's no can you see that there's no like, you can you see that, like there's no like bleed through or anything, and when that dries, that will I think that you won't be able to tell that I've used water on there. I've been so careful with the amount of water I put on the page, and I think that is key. I might do an Inktense sky as well, but I just wanted to play around with my Inktense, and this was the perfect page to do it on. It's a way of like quickly colouring a space as well. So yeah, I might do the sky. I might even do the deer. I know I'm not going to do it on the gems and the snow. I think I have already got the colours for that picked out. So yeah, this was a little demonstration on how I use Derwent Inktense. I hope that you enjoyed my little demo. If you want to leave a comment, then please do, and any further suggestions on how you use it, I'm always up for opinions. if you think I should be doing anything differently, if you found this informative and would like me to maybe come on and show you how to do this, how I'm going to do the sky background, then I'm quite happy to do that. So thank you guys, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you, bye bye.